Kinds of emergency calls. The one they took last Friday from a Youngstown, Ohio man might be one of the more bizarre ones.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
What'd you take?
I can't feel anything.
Your what?
I can't feel anything.
Okay, what did you take?
Weed.
Weed?
Yes.
Okay. What's your name? Is there anyone there with you?
Yeah, they don't know.
Okay, how old are you?
22.
Are they going to be able to answer the door for us?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, we'll send an ambulance right over to check you out, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Officers found the 22-year-old curled in a fetal position, surrounded by Doritos, Goldfish, crackers, and Chips Ahoy. They're cookies. Sounds like a joke, but it's not. He was complaining he couldn't feel his hands. He refused medical treatment and was charged with drug possession.
That's a real 911 call from Ohio a few years back in Austin Township, which is just outside Youngstown. 22-year-old man dials the emergency line, gasping like he's going out, to report that he is too high on weed. Not fentanyl, not a scrote, weed. The plant, the one that grows in the ground by itself. So the police roll out, lights, 2 officers, real ones. We get to his house, and the door opens, and it's Grandpa. Grandpa lets them in. Grandpa, who has now seen things in his own home that he will carry to his grave, points upstairs and says, "He's up there," because you can hear him. There's an audible groaning coming through the ceiling of a residential home in Ohio. So these officers go up, hands ready, not knowing what's behind that door, and they open it. And what do they find? A grown man on the floor in the fetal position, surrounded by, and I'm reading the police report here, this is actual language, a plethora of Doritos, Pepperidge Farms, and Chips Ahoy cookies. A plethora? Some cop had to write that. Some cop got back to the station at the end of a 10-hour shift and had to find a word big enough to describe the volume of snacks surrounding this man. And he landed on plethora. That officer deserves a raise. And this man tells him, through the groaning, that he can't feel his hands. Sir, you dialed a phone. You dialed 911 and had a conversation. You also got through 3 separate bags of processed food with your allegedly numb, non-functioning ghost hands. Them hands are fine. Them hands are working overtime. And then this is my favorite part. He tells the police officers he smoked it in his car. And then he gives them the keys, volunteers them, hands over the keys so they can go out to the vehicle and search his vehicle. Sir, you just waived your 4th Amendment, face down on the carpet, covered in goldfish. Men have gone to the Supreme Court over that piece of paper. You simply traded it in for a nap. And, of course, they find a glass jar of weed, rolling papers, a pipe, and half-smoked joints. Then he refuses medical treatment. Refuses it. The entire reason for the phone call. He called the government to come look at him, and once they showed up and looked at him, he was good. Now, here is why I'm opening with this. This kid didn't call his buddies, didn't call his mommy, didn't ride it out like every other person who has ever overdone it in the history of this planet. He calls the cops. For a situation he built himself on purpose with his own 2 nub hands. And they came. No lecture, no laughing at him, offered him an ambulance. And I would bet you every dollar in my pocket that somewhere about 8 months later, the same jackass was standing at a cookout with a beer in his hand telling everybody what he thinks about police. I'm Tug. Welcome back to Old Salty Bastards, the show. This is episode 4. Everyone hates the cops until they need one. Let's get salty. National Police Week came and went back in May. Yeah, I know. I'm late. Fucking sue me. The points don't expire. 363 names got carved into that wall this year. 254 of them from years gone by. Guys whose stories nobody could have confirmed until now. Some of them dead over 100 years before anybody could prove how. And 109 who died just in 2025. 109. In 1 year, not a statistic. 109 officers who kissed their loved one goodbye, grabbed a thermos of bad gas station coffee, and never made it home to finish that garage project that they'd been almost done with since 2019. And somewhere out there, some jackass is reading that and going, well, ACAB though. Brother, read the fucking room. This is not the time and place to debate policy, and it's not standing on 109 fresh graves with a bullhorn. You don't got to think every cop's a saint to shut your mouth for 1 week a year. That's it. That's the bar. It's on the floor. Step over it. Now look, I'm not asking you to put a cop on a pedestal and light a candle. Bad cops are real. Corrupt ones too. Throw them out. Throw the book at them. I don't care. But there's a difference between hold bad cops accountable and I saw 9 seconds of a video with zero context on my phone at 2 a.m. That ain't a legal opinion, partner. That's brain rot with Wi-Fi. And here's my favorite part. The same people screaming, abolish the police on Tuesday are the same ones whispering and screaming, please hurry, into a phone on a Friday night when somebody's kicking their door in. Funny how fast that slogan evaporates when it's at your door. Here's what we expect out of these people. We want them built like a linebacker, but talk like a kindergarten teacher. Run towards gunfire, but God forbid you look intimidating doing it. Stop a guy with a knife, then immediately pivot to a marriage counselor because his girlfriend's always yelling. And while that's happening, some genius 10 feet away is filming on a phone going, I know my rights. Buddy, you don't know where your car keys are right now. Sit the fuck down. Firefighters sign up to fight fires. That don't mean you light your couch on fire and scream, job security. The cops, everybody else's failure gets dumped on them. The family mess, call the cops. School can't handle the kid, call the cops. 40 years of nobody parenting anybody, and then we act shocked when the cop shows up and the whole scene already looks like a dumpster doing cartwheels. That domestic call didn't start when the cruiser pulled up, genius. That dude didn't become a junkie because an officer knocked on the door at 2 a.m. The cop's the last guy in line after everybody else quits. Then he's got to make a life or death call in about a second and a half, and the rest of us get to judge it in a 4K slow motion for 3 weeks from a recliner with a bag of fucking Doritos in our lap. Everybody's a hero after the fact. I would have just shot the gun out of his hand. No, you wouldn't, Yosemite Sam. You peed down both legs and hid behind the vending machine. Train will. Absolutely. Train the hell out of them. But you can't drop one human being into every flavor of chaos this country's got and expect a perfect outcome every single time. We want them flawless while dealing with people having the worst day of their lives. Most of us lose our mind when the Wi-Fi links out. This guy's job some days is walking up a driveway to tell a mother her son's not coming home. And a dirty cop don't just hurt the guy as he's wrong. He's poisoned it for the next good cop walking up to the same car window with zero trust left in the tank. So yeah, bad ones out there, no hesitation. Prosecute them. But don't go mixing up justice with I hate all of you on principle. Back to good ones, bury the bad ones. That's not radical. That's just having more than 2 brain cells. Now it's time for Salty Sea Bag. Today's question, what's the dumbest reason you've ever seen someone call the cops? Story 1. I'll call this one the salty emergency. Tug, a woman called police because a restaurant forgot her dipping sauce. Not her kid, not her wallet, her sauce. She stood in the parking lot yelling, "It was a theft because the sauce was part of the experience." The sauce was part of the experience. Lady, this is nuggets, not a cruise package. Unit 12, respond to a condiment disturbance suspect last seen fleeing towards the fryer. We've got unsolved murders and somewhere an officer explaining that the Geneva Convention does not cover ranch dressing. Story 2. We'll call this one the Netflix hostage crisis from Couch Commander. My buddy's uncle called the cops because his wife had changed the Netflix password during an argument. Told the dispatch she was denying him access to property he paid for. Sir, this is not a police matter. That's marriage. And based on that call, I know exactly why she changed the password. Book him, Dano. Aggravated streaming interference. People use cops as referees for their personal nonsense and then complain cops are always in their business. Buddy, you invited them because your wife locked you out of Cobra Kai. Story 3, the parking space philosopher from Minivan Mike. I watched a guy call police because someone parked in his spot. Not a sign, no sign. He just walked away, parked there, so he decided it belonged to him spiritually. Spiritually. This man had a sacred parking covenant with space 14D. My ancestors fought for this spot, officer. Unless it's a sign painted or guarded by a tiny dragon, it's not yours. Calling the cops over an unassigned parking spot isn't law enforcement. That's therapy with flashing lights. Fuel manual for morons. This is kind of a new segment. How not to turn a traffic stop into a felony. Rule 1, don't start with an attitude. Officer asks, do you know why I stopped you? Don't say, because you're bored. You can just say, I'm not sure, officer. Look at that. Adult behavior. Rule 2, hands visible. No digging around like a raccoon in the glove box. Tell the officer what you're doing. My license is in my wallet. Is it okay if I reach for it? See how easy that is? Makes the situation boring. Boring gets everyone home. Rule 3, the roadside is not a courthouse. I do not consent. I know the mayor. My cousin's a paralegal. None of that changes the fact that you're standing next to a Nissan Altima with expired tags and smoke coming out from one of the tires. Sign the ticket, fight it in court. That's what court is for. Rule 4, do not say, I pay your salary. With the taxes most people pay, you might buy one paperclip and a half a bootlace. You also pay for the roads. That doesn't mean you can drive through a school zone like you're qualifying for Daytona. I pay your salary. Isn't a fucking argument. It's a meeting call for idiots. That's the fuel manual for today. Clip it, frame it, tattoo it backwards on your forehead. You got to read it in the mirror. And now my favorite segment, Am I the Salty Asshole? Today's letter comes from Cookout Carl. Tug, last weekend at a family cookout, a few people started trashing cops. The usual, all cops are bad shit. I usually stay quiet, but this time I said something. I reminded them my cousin's a deputy, my neighbor's a retired officer, and my sister called police twice last year when her ex-boyfriend wouldn't leave her alone. I said, it's easy to hate cops when nothing bad is happening, but when things get dangerous, everyone suddenly wants them there fast. That set everyone off. One person said I was defending oppression. My aunt said I should have just let people vent. So am I the salty asshole? Carl, no. You just interrupted the monthly meeting of the Hypocrisy Owners Association. And they did not appreciate it. People want the emotional luxury of hating cops while enjoying the practical protection of cops. They want to say all cops are bad at the cookout and still expect an officer to show up. Uncle Gary gets drunk and starts winging a horseshoe steak. You ruined the vibe. Good. Some vibes need ruining. Venting is, I had a bad experience and I'm angry. That's human. Saying every person in a profession is evil isn't venting. That's just prejudice with the slogan. Now look, some communities got real history with bad policing, real abuse, real reasons to be skeptical. That's true, and I'm not waving it off. But pain don't buy you a permit to be dishonest. Some cops are bad, most aren't. And the loudest ones screaming about it from the porch wouldn't last one ride along without crying for a blanket in the juice box. The verdict? Not this healthy asshole. You added oxygen to a room full of hot air. Tell your family the next time something goes sideways, they can call a poet, a drum circle, or a neighborhood Facebook group. Let me know how that response time works out. Impossible expectation. What do people actually want these guys to be? Because it sounds like everything all at once, simultaneously, with no notes. Tough enough to drop a guy with a knife, soft enough to never once raise his voice. Show up in 30 seconds when you call, vanish into thin air when you don't want him around. Enforce the law on everybody else, but personally exempt me specifically because you're late for a thing. That's like trying to lose 40 pounds while eating a cheesecake in the shower. The math doesn't work, and reality is going to come collect eventually. You cannot have a functioning neighborhood without rules. You can't have rules without somebody enforcing them, and you cannot have enforcement without the chance that sometimes a guy's got to get tackled. Nobody's throwing a parade for that. It's ugly. It should be ugly. But sometimes ugly's the thing standing between your family and a guy who does not care 1 ounce about your feelings. And here's the part that just comedy at this point. Cops hold back. They're not doing enough. Cop steps in. They're too aggressive. Cop writes a ticket. That's harassment. Cop writes tickets. Lazy. There is no setting on this dial that makes everybody happy because half the people spinning the dial don't actually want it fixed. They want a villain. Blaming the guy in the cruiser is a lot easier than blaming 40 years of nobody parenting anybody, judges who keep letting the same asshole guys out, in a school system that gave up around third period. The cop ain't the cause half the time. He's just the receipt. Somebody's already brought this disaster, gift wrapped it, and had it delivered weeks before that cruiser ever showed up. Things people say that make no sense. Quick list. Cops never do anything. Usually said 5 minutes after complaining they arrested someone. Pick a lane. Why are they pulling people over? They should solve real crimes. And when that guy they didn't pull over kills somebody drinking and driving, then what? I would never call the cops. Sure, until the doorknob turns at midnight, then suddenly you want a blue uniform and a fast response time. So here's National Police Week boiled down to one sentence. It ain't about pretending every cop's a saint. It's about a guy who puts on a badge, went to work, and didn't come home, and his family deserves 1 week where nobody's getting something cute to say about it. That should not be a hard sentence for anyone in this country to agree with. The fact that it is tells everything you need to know about how broken the discourse gets. Bad cops abuse his power. Throw the book at him. I'll hold the fucking door. Department's dirty. Gut it. But a guy who showed up, did his job right, and died doing it, you back him. Full stop. No asterisks. No, well, actually, no. Think peace. Because when it really is going bad, not Twitter bad, actual bad. Nobody's calling their senator. Nobody's calling the guy with the podcast about abolishing everything. Everybody's dialing the same 3 digits and praying somebody picks up fast. And that somebody who shows up is the same guy half this country was just trash talking at the cookout last weekend. To the good ones, thank you. To the families of the 363, you're not forgotten, and you shouldn't have to be. To the bad ones still wearing the badge, get out before you ruin it for the guys who's actually doing it right. And to the woman who called 911 over missing nugget sauce, I hope your phone dies at 1%. Exactly 1 second before you replay that call in your head. Back the good ones. Bury the bad ones. And for the love of God, stop turning every traffic stop into a one-man Broadway show. This is Tug. Stay salty, you magnificent bastards.